Hello, everybody, and welcome to Football Manager 26, which will be game number one here on Sports Gaming Plus. I'm Stuart. I am a huge football fan, or soccer fan, whatever you want to call it. I live in Northeast Iowa. A little bit about myself. I've coached athletic sports for about 20 years, mostly American football, right? Tackle football. Not that there is a tackling, of course, in what the world calls football, but I digress. I did play up until my youth. I am now coaching, youth soccer, but really growing up, I was more about baseball, basketball, and football. Those were the three sports that I was most interested in. But really, kind of around the time the world was dealing with the COVID pandemic, I got put onto Football Manager by watching Zilla Blitz as he did his walk around journeyman save in Europe. And I was like, oh my God, that game looks super cool. I want to give it a shot, and I've been addicted ever since. And little bit by little bit, I got more and more, I don't know if you want to say addicted, but more and more a fan of football in general. I love watching football. I love the sport, love coaching. It might have even become my favorite sport. So that being said, I like managing in countries that are not part of like the Big Five or the Big Eight. Right, you have England, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, right? And then sometimes you could probably add, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Belgium, right? When it comes to European football, just strictly from a European football standpoint. I do enjoy managing in South America. I've managed a tiny bit, in Egypt. I managed a little bit in Asia as well, but most of the time I have been in Europe. But I like starting off kind of in Central or Eastern Europe in some of the quote-unquote smaller countries. Now, one of the things with Football Manager 26, it does have that negative or critical reception, right? From the community, the fan base, whatever you want to call it. I think some of that's fair. I think some of it comes down to people don't like the change, right? They don't like the change. They're still rightfully in some ways upset about the lack of a game in FM25. And, they're just pushing back on that. Now, there are definitely bugs, there are definitely flaws in the game. I think the immersion needs to get a lot better, both with the player and the managerial and the club histories, for example, and the lack of international management. I know Sports Interactive has come out and said many times that they'll try to get international management added before the World Cup this summer. We're here in early May, still no international management. However, I will say I do think it's good, even though I don't particularly manage a lot in the women's game. I think it's good that it's a part of the game. I think that they needed to put it in. I'm a fan of the fact that they put it in, even if I don't, play a lot of time, put a lot of time so far, into managing women's soccer. That might change in the future. But I do think for those people who were interested in that, it's important it was in the game, right? The UI and, a lot of the other changes I am a fan of. And they've kind of grown on me. I do love how you can now do more when it comes to creating a manager. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that because this is a little bit after the fact. I had kind of a three-part introductory episode I'm trying to recreate here, full disclosure. And I thought I had it downloaded and uploaded and all that, but apparently I deleted it. I knew I deleted the file, but I thought I'd already uploaded it, so I didn't need it anymore. And that's not the case. That was not the case. So I'm kind of going back to the beginning a little bit. And then the second episode that's going to come out, was kind of like in the actual order. But I didn't want to have that be the first episode, right? So we're just going to take a little bit of a run through of the club, right? Because we've already done the tactics, the set pieces. They were briefly under a transfer embargo at the start of the season, but that did get lifted. We have tried to hire a few of these people for general manager, technical director, chief scout. You can see right now we are doing pretty well early on in the season. The table, we have 99,675 euros. We have exactly 0 pennies, 0 euros, 0 anything available in terms of the wage bill. And we are projected to lose a lot of money. Right, we're projected to be 190,000 euros, the deficit at the end of this season. So that we are in the second division of Bulgarian football. Here at Plin Blaeovgrad, which I apologize in advance for mispronunciations. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways from kind of like AI and pronunciation, websites that I've gone to. So I'll keep trying to see which is the most common way of pronouncing it and go with that. So I'm not trying to cause any offense. one of the reasons I chose Bulgaria was because as I've become more and more of a football fan, I go to content creators on YouTube and I try to watch videos talking about sometimes different nations, different clubs, etc., and where they fit in the world of football. And it seems like in Bulgarian football has had an issue with corruption. Again, generalization. I'm not trying to apply anything. And according to a couple of the videos I've seen, it's even had an issue in terms of maybe like organized crime being involved, behind the scenes. And that's kind of created some havoc because I do know enough about football, at least because I used to always watch the World Cup. The Bulgarian national team used to be, for a country of its size, a pretty good, national football team. But I think it's kind of fallen on hard times a little bit. If international management does ever come to FM26, potentially that would be something I'd be interested in as a character managing the Bulgarian national team. So that's kind of where we're at financially. You can see we still have a couple of vacant roles. Again, we do have adverts out for all of them. I'm probably going to butcher this, but Hristo Botev is the name of the stadium. 7,500 seats, 5,025 seated, built in 1934. Field conditions okay. The stadium, is grass. There's no undersoil, no roof heating. It's owned by the council. Could maybe do with a rebuilding. We have average youth facilities, average training facilities, adequate academy coaching, but we do have good youth recruitment, which is huge because you want to build out through the youth, academy through the youth center. So that is actually really, really good. Very happy with that. The board just wants us to work within the payroll budget, which we're currently doing, and to avoid relegation, which we're off to a 2-1-0 start. There's 32 matches. You play everybody twice, so, we're nowhere close to, being in the clear there, but we are off to a good start. Managerially, I clicked on the wrong person here, but it's Josef Dracul in Romania. He was a second league star, and he was known locally as a first team assistant coach, but this is his first time managing, in management, and he does just have the National C license. You can see we're unsuited in a few things, reasonable and competent in some others. We make the most of set pieces. We play energetic football. We pay close attention to youth development. We shape players to become competent in positions they're not natural at. We're highly driven and we're a natural leader. We just do have the C national license, which is the lowest badge we could get. We've only been here 11 days. We're making 350 euros a week or 1,400 a month, and we would get 750 if we are able to avoid relegation, and we would get a 25% salary raise if we get promoted. Currently, our contract is expected to run out in June of 2027. Like, our youth setup, we really don't have a lot of under 19s. Like, we have like 3. You also have to have, I think it's 2 under 20s trained in Bulgaria, the starting 11. So again, right now, where the heck are we? There we are. We're in 5th place. First place gets automatic promotion. The second place gets a promotion playoff competition, and then the bottom 3 get relegated. Tactically, we are played with a 3-4-3, which I love. I'm a huge fan of that. I know a lot of people like the 4-3-3, the 4 at the back, maybe the 4-2-3-1. I love the 3-4-3. We're not that great at it in terms of our skill set, but again, we are 2-1-0. And I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, Football Manager is too easy," but I will say we have a freaking elite goalkeeper. It looks like in Krasimir Kostov, right? 4.5 star at everything. He's 29 years old, so even if I got a job from a different club, I don't know, right? I don't know if I'd be able to. And I am going to send Zilla Blitz a message because I do think, his idea of walking about, trying to keep, fitness up, I think that would be something I might want to bring in and, say, hey, we have to be able to walk this far to be able to go to that club, or we have to be able to walk this far to do something, or something like that. Something like that. I do want to do something with fitness or some other modifier about, hey, I can apply to this, but I can't apply to there. Right? So I'm trying to figure out some rules. I do know, I want to try to make sure that they have a positive balance. I'd like to get them in the top flight. And I'd like to try to win something, but I don't know if those are the hard and fast rules that we're going to say, hey, you have to do this before you can leave. Because we will take a very brief look at the club's history, and then we'll take a look at a couple of websites, Google Maps. We'll find an apartment, because again, I do want to bring more immersion in. That's something that I've thought about for a while. I'm still working through how I want to do it, because I know a lot of people say, hey, well, let's look at the apartment, or hey, here's the city, or here's the real club. And I get that, and I'm not very good at this, but that is the direction I want to get into, like bringing more and more immersion of the real club in. So you can see we were founded in 1922. We are known as the Orlatata or the Eaglets. We are green and white. And we have one Victoria Liga title, which is the second league. So we were founded in 1922. We are a professional Bulgarian club currently playing in the Vratara Professional Liga. Purin Blagovgrad narrowly failed to win promotion from the Victoria Liga last term. The club played their home games at Hristo Botev and possess average training facilities and average youth facilities. The club's training ground is Hristo Botev. The Purin Blagovgrad UT play at Ritzy. Sorry for pausing on that. I'm like, man, I want to try to get this right. That's why I kind of paused. I probably got it wrong. The club is adequate academy coaching and a good youth recruitment network. The club is affectionately known as the Orlatata and retained a fierce rivalry with Belisica Petric. As a club which enjoyed its best spell of success during the 1990s and their last competition win coming as recently as 2021, Orlatata are a group with a growing history, or a club with a growing history. Purin Blagovgrad finished runners-up in the Kupa of Bulgaria in 1981, 1992, and 1994, won the Bulgarian third tier in 2008 and 2014, and finished second once, won the Bulgarian second tier in 1973, 84, and 2021, and finished runners-up on 3 occasions. So they won it 4 times, but they're credited with 1 win in 2021. Okay, so I'm guessing this is like the Southern B is their when they won here, right? Is what it used to be known as. I mean that's just what I'm guessing. 5th in the Prava Liga, 1984 to 85. Good year. I was born in 84. So that's kind of the background here. Yeah, we have not had any transfer history. We have tried to kind of see if we could maybe sell a couple of players, but have not had any takers. So, and again, we don't really have much depth, right? One thing we will do very quickly before we go into the real world, so to speak, right? You can see we have just six players on the bench, just 5 outfield players. Ivanov, Bachev, and Georgiev are all injured, although some of them are going to be back in just a few days' time. So that'll help us in terms of getting, at least a deeper bench, right? But we still don't have a lot of players who are great at their positions. They're still being trained up, those young enough to probably learn the position anyway. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, we're going to go Google Maps. We'll take a look at the website and we'll find that apartment because, again, 1,400 euros a month. That is what we have available in order to try to find an apartment. And so I will be back with that in just a moment. Then the second episode, which actually has the matches, will come out after this one. And then we'll get ready for the third episode later on in the future. In just 1 minute. Sorry, I'm getting out of myself and getting tongue-tied here. So here we are in Bulgaria at Blagovgrad. And we're going to kind of zoom in here. You have the hospital pulse. You have the American University. I think there's like 70,000 people. When we get to Wikipedia, we'll be able to look at it a little bit better. But I believe there's like 70,000 people overall kind of in the metropolitan area. You can see we have the Blagovgrad, province, right? And we are cut out here on the, crap. You know what? Let's look it up here and see what it says. Right? Yep, 70,000. It is the Economic and Cultural Center of Southwestern Bulgaria. And what is it called? The Struma? Okay, is that like the Struma River? All right, and then this is our stadium, right? Hristo Botev Stadium. It's a multi-purpose stadium located in Belgorod, Bulgaria. It is used for football matches and it's home to FC Prid Belgorod. The stadium holds 11,000 spectators, but it's being expanded to 18,000 as of 2009. The stadium is being renovated and will be equipped with electric lighting. I'm not sure exactly when that was written up because it's 2026 and that says as of 2009. I do love the picture though. Like that is really cool, right? You've got the hills, you've got the mountains in the background. I think these are like the administrative offices, right? And you've got the grandstands there. I think that is really cool. So we're gonna look through some of the pictures here. Again, like you've got the mountains and the hills, you've got the town, and then you've got the pitch. I do think that is cool. Like I do think that's a cool setup. Looks like we've got outside of the pitch or outside of the ground there. That is a scoreboard there from Tanis Dimitrov in 2024. All right, so fairly recent there. This is 2023. Right, you got parking and you got the grandstand, so there's not a second side of stands. It's all kind of on one side. All right, then we've got just kind of a look of the pitch there. And this is from 2023 from steps going up into the stadium, potentially a little bit of an aerial shot or a higher up shot there. You can see you've got kind of looks like a dirt or a gravel path there. The grandstand's built into the hillside. I mean, that's cool. I wouldn't mind potentially, and we'll get into Football Manager 26 when you see the matches. One of the neat things is they actually don't have another side of the grandstand. Sometimes the stadium looks, better than what, kind of does at these smaller clubs in real life, which, you understand, right? But at the same time, it's just like, man, that stadium looks great. So it is really cool that they just have the one side of the grandstands, in Football Manager. But, if we do get promoted and we stay long enough, maybe, we can expand the stands to the other side. That would be kind of interesting because I do know, or I've heard anyway, I've never done it myself, that this stadium does change designs as you renovate and expand. We got some smoke here with the team running on the pitch. We get maybe a family sitting up here on the hillside overlooking the field. I mean, that's cool. Like, again, I grew up as a Cubs fan, so, the businesses overlooking Wrigley Field that you can charge just have the rooftops there overlooking Wrigley. Got a photo here from 2024. I mean, again, you got the trees. Like, I do love the look of it. I do. They have it covered. Kind of dug out the bench area. Obviously it could use fresh paint. Maybe some seeding and whatever, some more work to kind of beautify the area. I mean, that's fair. But there's a picture of that scoreboard that I mentioned earlier for 2023. But overall, I really like the setup. Got supporters on the pitch here 2022, with the smoke. And I think that's where we're going to kind of stop here on the Google Earth tour. But again, I keep saying it. I think this is a club with potential. Again, the grandstands, right? They definitely, could, get some new concrete, some repainting done, right? The seats look a little worn. They're kind of falling apart. That's in 2025. That's fair, right? But that's fair. But again, we would need to get promoted. We need to get the money. And then eventually try to update the stadium at that point. And, maybe that's how long we stay. Because, again, with that good youth recruitment, maybe we stay and have a few seasons here and have a run. Because Ludogorets, I believe, is the dominant club in Bulgarian football domestically. And it'd be neat to kind of challenge them, right? That's another cool shot there from 2022. And, again, this is just like the immersion I like trying to do and not just, treat it as a game, which is all it is, right? It's all it is. I will never manage in Europe, although, honestly, if somebody gave me the opportunity to, that would be freaking amazing, but I would have to, go a lot further in my journey in terms of coaching badges and whatnot than I am currently. But thank you, everybody, and we're going to transition now to the Wikipedia page, and then we'll go into the apartment that we found. So just a moment. All right, so here we are in the Wikipedia page where you can see they were founded in 1922, 104 years ago. Although it's kind of been restructured since then. So the club was founded in 2008 after a merger from a couple of clubs from Blagoevgrad, Prin 1922 and PFC, Prin Blagoevgrad. The club was announced as the historical successor of the club records of the former FC Pryn, founded in 1922. In 2011, following the bankruptcy of the entity which represented the football club, Perun's football department was merged once again with Perun Krasnodar to officially become OFC Perun. It's the mountain range in southwestern Bulgaria, which you can kind of see the pictures of the stadium. Again, the stadium has a capacity of 7,500, so I'm not sure why it said 11,000 there on the page, but they have 4 domestic cup finals and most notably enjoy high praise for its development of football players, including the 1994 FIFA World Cup bronze medalists Petar Matarsky and Ivalo Idanov. Apologies again for any mispronunciations. Right, so their website, we'll talk about it a little bit. I did see that it's a little bit out of date. I'm not sure if it's being updated regularly anymore. But we'll take a look at the stadium. Again, it says it can host 11,000, but the club's page says it has 7,500. Current stadium capacity is 6,927 to 5,427 seats. Okay, so it does admit that. So I'm not sure why I can hold 11,000 then. But okay. Yep, so that is the clubhouse, so we were right about that. Alright, so we're going to go in now and we're going to see, look at the apartment that we found. So this is the apartment that we found on the Stara Planina in the Belarbashi district, Bulgaria, where it is going to be 700 euros a month, so that is half of the salary we are making. And it is a furnished 3-bedroom apartment on the first floor of the building with controlled access. So if I suck and the season falls apart, in theory, they're not just going to be able to store my house, right? It's located in the Ideal Center near the Chamber Opera building. That is pretty cool. It has a kitchen and a living room, 3 bedrooms, a bathroom with a toilet and a terrace. It's fully finished and equipped with everything you need. A kitchen, built-in oven and hob, extractor hood, refrigerator, a TV, living room, corner sofa, and coffee table. Bedrooms are furnished with a bed. All right, so we've got the kitchen, little kitchen table, refrigerator. Kind of got the oven there. Kind of living room with a little, I don't know, I'd call it a sectional half couch, right? Looks like you might have a nice view out the window there. Okay, we got a bedroom here. A little bit smaller bedroom here. Sorry for that. And another, small bedroom here. So maybe, I don't know if there's an option for this, but maybe I'd be like, hey, can we get rid of one of the beds, or I could have a guest bedroom in case my family or friends, or I have a roommate at some point, want to come over and visit, but at the same time, one of them can be an office, right? I do like the shower. I like the shower. That's pretty cool to me. Got a tiny little window up there, which is nice. And then again, we're back in the kitchen. So we're spending half the money we're making on the apartment. I really do like the ground. I think there's a lot of potential there. And, we'll continue to look into the town, and maybe that's something we'll do in a future episode. We'll take a look at the website, even though I said, I'm not sure that it's, concurrent anymore. And we'll, play around on YouTube and, other video sites and see if we can maybe see some, highlights or tourism videos and things to do. And potentially, even try to make some Bulgarian food dishes, right? I like experimenting, sometimes with recipes in the kitchen. And so that might be something that we try to do. Again, it's all about trying to get the immersion. I do want to be here for a while, especially if we can get promoted to the top flight. Obviously, that would be huge. But even not, having that good youth recruitment, the kids look nice, the stadium, I love how almost realistic the stadium is compared to what it is in real life, when you see the setup. And I'm having a lot of fun. So we'll have to see how long we're there. Obviously, if the goal ultimately of the save is to get to Italy, France, or England, potentially Spain as well. But what are the big clubs? One of the big countries, challenge for the Champions League titles, make a crap ton of money, have one of the best youth recruitment setups in the world, all of that. So to some degree, that's going to be tough to achieve at Bulgaria, right? Even if we get promoted, even if we challenge Ludogorets, even if we win the top flight, we're not going to achieve all of those goals, although we definitely could achieve a lot of them. One thing I will say though is I'm not going to go directly unless I'm at Perina. I'm gonna have to continue to practice saying the name. Lovgrad for a long, long time. Lovgrad, sorry. Um, I'm not going to go straight from Bulgaria to like France, right? Unless it's at like a lower level. My goal is to kind of build my way back up into like Central and Western Europe. So maybe I go to Romania. That's where my manager is from, and then maybe from Romania I go to Poland, and then from Poland I could maybe get to Belgium, right? So it is going to be a journeyman. It is going to kind of be build a manager. Now the flip side of that is if I am loving it here, and they do bring international management in, and maybe I start managing the Bulgarian national team or a different national team, then that might change. That might change in the future, but I don't want to just like jump from one job to the really big job. I think you have to kind of build yourself up the ladder a little bit, and that's the plan. Anyways, I'll try to do better in future episodes. Thank you, everybody. As always, if you wish to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, obviously it's a brand new channel. Kind of rebranded it a little bit here, and I could do a million things better, probably a million and one, and I'm aware of that. So I appreciate even if it's a 1 second view or you made it all the way to the end of the video. I do appreciate it. Take care, everyone, and I'll hopefully be around to talk to y'all in the near future.